Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Rustabout Collector here, and today we are taking a look at the Vintage Collection, Deluxe Vintage Collection I should say, Ahsoka Tano and Grogu, along with a bunch of other accessories and stuff. This is a Walmart exclusive, if I remember correctly, and yeah, it just arrived in the mail recently. A lot of people have been getting theirs. I have been seeing that some folks are getting the unfortunate situation of it arriving in a bubble mailer, like a padded bubble mailer, not a box. Mine arrived relatively unscathed. There's a bit of scuffing there, possibly from like, I don't know, time in the warehouse or something. But yeah, I guess I was just one of the lucky ones who the particular employee that packed mine decided to put it inside of a box instead of a bubble mailer. Either way, it's kind of been par for the course for a lot of online orders recently. It's a little game of whether or not you're actually going to get it in mint condition, but thankfully I'm not a carded collector, so it really hasn't affected me when I have gotten damaged cards in, but I totally understand the frustration for, you know, people that keep things on the card or in packages and all that. Now, this is the first time that I've encountered one of the packages that I guess is going towards that plasticless packaging look, so there's no bubble here, there's no window here for us to see the figures. We have yet to see how that policy will exactly affect the vintage collection, just the standard figures, but even so, this is a nice packaging, this is a nice box art. I really do like what they've done here using practical photography. Like, this isn't a render, this is actually an image of the product that you're going to get in the box. The one downside, of course, with this type of packaging is that you can't check the figure for good paint apps. So while you have this image of the figure here, it's not necessarily exactly what you're getting in the box. That can be frustrating for a lot of collectors, myself included. I've gotten some wonky paint apps in the past. I would prefer to be able to check those out, but since this was an online pre-order, I guess it really wouldn't have mattered one way or the other, and I am still going to open this up and just, I guess, cross my fingers and hope I get a good one, you know? But yeah, as far as packaging goes, this is really, really cool. I love the practical photography. I love the old Kenner style of packaging for really all the vintage collection releases. And then on the back, we have the same image as before, but this time also with a little layout, a little flat lay almost of all the different accessories you're getting. Ahsoka, the two lightsabers, some accessories for Grogu, the lamp, and the bird. I'm not going to remember what kind of bird that is, so if somebody wants to correct me down in the comments and be like, oh, it's a schmegel, it's a schmegel bird, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds right. But with all that out of the way, I think it's time to break this figure open and take a look at it. I'm not going to do my normal, like, you know, fast cut opening because I do want to show on camera what we're getting in this type of packaging, since I think it's kind of new to a lot of us. You know, there's not the standard picture window, like I said, so that way we can all kind of experience together how this is exactly packed and what you can expect if you get one of these yourself. Alright, so out of the box, this is pretty much what I was expecting, I guess, because I did get the Antok Merrick X-Wing from Target this year, or was it last year? I don't know, I lost track. But I reviewed that here on the channel, and it was similarly packed. The tissue paper for all the accessories, and then the figure just kind of like, I guess, strapped in there with some cardboard. You do also get this wonderful little sheet of other stuff packed in, I guess. I can remember a time when these were little magazines for the other figures you could get, but now it's just a bunch of legalese and stuff. I'm not a huge fan of that, but whatever. If they have to include it, they have to include it. And with the packaging off, we can kind of get a feel for what this figure has to offer. Just some initial thoughts. I'm really grateful that these are soft goods, though as with any soft goods, I feel it's probably not going to lay the best on the head, but maybe it would look okay if you... Yeah, actually, that works pretty well. That just folds right back and lays very nicely. It stays back there. So personally, I think that typically looks better than trying to have it be hooded over the character's head. It always gets funky with hoods at this scale when they're soft goods. If they're molded plastic, of course, they work a little bit better, but then they don't blend with the soft goods. So it can be kind of tricky to get that to work right at this scale. But you know what? I think that this works really, really well. Inside this tissue paper here, we should have all of our accompanying accessories along with the child, Grogu. And let's see, we got some very, very delicate ones. We'll definitely take a close-up look at those in a bit. But just to make sure, that is everything. Alright, so here's everything out of the packaging. There are some really awesome accessories going on here. You have Ahsoka's 2 lightsabers cast in clear plastic to mimic the white blades that she uses. Of course, you have the soft goods, you have the bird, which again, I have no name for, but we can just go with Gary the bird. And then we have Grogu using the Force with his little arms outstretched. 2 little things for him to be manipulating. I think one is a rock, and I think the other is the ball from the Razor Crest. And then you have the lantern that I believe Ahsoka carries in the episode of Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian. I can't remember, but she does carry that lantern at one point. So for some close-ups on these accessories, first up we have Ahsoka's 2 lightsabers, one being full length and one being the shorter version. They both are very nicely sculpted, and there are a few paint apps on this larger one here, some little bronzy gold elements up here on top and then around the hilt there. Both look really cool and fit in her hands very nicely. We also get this lantern, which is cast in clear and then painted with a sparkly gold type of paint that gives it a nice sheen. And of course, we can have Ahsoka carrying that. Just gotta loop it like so. And there you go. Next we have Gary the alien bird, and the paint apps here are really cool as well. The green, the white, the brown, even the claws, they're pretty standard, nothing really crazy there, but the eyes are extremely detailed. It's kind of hard to show just how good they actually are on camera, but you can kind of see when the light hits them, they have a nice like glossy sparkle to them. Very detailed for this scale, and I'm kind of wondering if they may have used some sort of face printing tech to get that level of detail. Beyond that, the sculpt is also really nice, and I love the way that it can just perch on her arm like that. It is a fairly loose fit, like it's not, you can kind of see how easy that comes on and off, but as long as, you know, you just kind of push it down a little bit, if you maybe bump into it or bump into your shelf or something, it may fall, but honestly, this is pretty nice, and I appreciate that it's not too tight, as it probably would damage some of the paint apps there on her arm. And we're just going to group these last 3 together because these 2 are so very small. This here is, I believe, the little ball from the Razor Crest, and then this is just a rock. It's a rock. They're both cast on these little bases. They do not come off, thankfully, because I would 100% lose those instantly. I'm already afraid of just losing these as it is, but if they did not have the bases, they would just be gone. I wouldn't even have them for the review. I would open the box and they would be gone. And then we get this unique sculpt of Baby Yoda here with his hands outstretched to use the Force and levitate the little rocks and stuff. There isn't any articulation here except for the ball joint at the head, which does give you a little bit of range just for some nice emoting from the figure. You can have him looking different directions. He could maybe be looking up while levitating the rocks and stuff. So I mean, there's some options there. It's nice, but for a figure of this scale, I really wouldn't expect anything else with the arms or anything, because yeah, it's so small. This is perfect. I appreciate that we've gotten different versions of Baby Yoda just for different poses, so as long as they keep doing that, where you get a different version with every release, then I am a-okay with getting more of these. And yeah, the detail here is nice. The little miniatures, which are probably hand-painted, are nice as well, and although small and easily losable, it's just a cool inclusion. Now then, for Ahsoka, we have an all-new mold for this Mandalorian older version of Ahsoka. I believe it is the same body that we're getting with the single card release. It just has the unique soft goods and the other accessories for this deluxe version. But all the sculpt work that is going on here is really impressive. All the folds of fabric and details painted on, they are just amazing. Now, I guess we should start off though first with the soft goods here. It's pretty nice, you know, it's simple, there's nothing really crazy going on here. It's a pretty lightweight and semi-see-through fabric, which I guess could be a downside for some, but I really do like the way that it lays. You can have that hood all the way back, and it looks so nice. It doesn't look awkward or oversized like soft goods typically do at this scale. And you can kind of pull the hood up over top of her head, but it just kind of looks awkward. I have not found a good way to do this yet that doesn't look kind of ridiculous with, I guess, the Leku or whatever these are called. I really don't know, but it just makes it awkward for the hood to be pulled up over her head. I think that the ideal way to pose this figure with the soft goods on is back like this. Now, personally, I've kind of been debating maybe taking these soft goods off and putting them on Season 7 Ahsoka, maybe for like a cool little Clone Wars diorama. I don't know. This tunic does look very Clone Wars Season 7. Perhaps she's kept it all the way until the time of The Mandalorian, but I guess we may not ever know. And of course, these soft goods are removable. All you gotta do is pop the head off and voila, the soft goods come right off. No big deal there. And it's also really simple to put them back on the same way, so that's appreciated. There's no crazy fumbling with strings or anything like that. It's just really easy to swap on and off. As I mentioned before, this figure just has so much cool detail going on. All this sculpt work with, you know, the sashes being tied back here, the straps on her arm, the gauntlets here, the little pieces of chain and stuff here around her waist. Just, it all looks really, really crisp. Of course, the paint apps on the head are also really nice. The face printing here looks really good. I don't think I would ever have imagined that this would be where we are at with making accurate face sculpts. It's just incredible how far action figures have come just in the last, 5 years. So yeah, great printing all around on this head sculpt. I would definitely say it gives a very good likeness to Rosario Dawson, the actress that plays Ahsoka in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. It's awesome. I'm just so stoked to have a figure that is this accurate at this scale. I really love what Vintage Collection is doing, and all I can really say is more, please. More of this. More Vintage Collection figures with this level of detail. Then going over articulation, you have the double ball joint in the head and neck, kind of like you saw when I removed the cape. So you can get that side-to-side tilt, you can get a bit forward, you can get a bit back, you can get side-to-side. Some of that is impeded by the tentacles or the leku, but honestly, nothing is really less than what I would want from a figure like this. You know, you can look far enough left and right, you can look up pretty good, you can look down pretty good. I don't necessarily need more than that. At the shoulders, hinge and swivel, so you can swivel that all the way around, hinge out to a little past 90, hinge and swivel at the elbows, hinge around, hinge into 90, and then swivel wrists, which I totally understand here with this figure because the hands are just so small and the wrists are just so small that if they tried to do a hinge, either the hands would be oversized or the pegs would just be way too small for any durability. So swivels make perfect sense here and are very functional. At the torso, you have a ball joint, so you can get that side-to-side tilt, crunch forward, and not really crunch back. I think most of that is coming from the hips actually, so just kind of straight up and down, not really any kind of back flex there. At the hips, we have a ball joint and a thigh swivel. This is the new hip design compared to some of their older figures with the hinge and swivel hips. The details around the waist are cast in a nice soft plastic, so you can hinge those legs outward, you can hinge them forward, and it just kind of bends around it, which is great. If you need to, you can use that thigh swivel to position the leg as needed, which actually could allow you to even have this figure sit cross-legged, which I think is absolutely amazing for a Vintage Collection figure. As you kind of saw there, the knees are single jointed. They can hinge really, really far back. That does expose some maybe awkward gaps, you know, there and there and there. But overall, I'm not really upset about it because that articulation is so impressive for a 3 3/4 inch figure. You can have her kneeling, cross-legged like I showed earlier, or just in so many different action poses for a figure. And I love what they did here with the sculpt because they have this piece molded down in front of the knee, so even if you do bend that knee all the way, you'll never even see it looking straight on at the figure. And then finally down to the foot, you have the hinge and rocker, so you can hinge it forward to there, point it to there, and of course side-to-side rocker, giving you that extra stability when doing dynamic posing. All in all, this figure is just absolutely amazing. It really goes to show just how great this scale can be in terms of sculpt work, in terms of articulation, especially those knees. Those absolutely blew me away on this figure. Now, of course, because this is the deluxe figure, it does come at a higher price point, and is it worth it? I really can't say. It definitely feels a little bit more deluxe than some of the other deluxe figures we've seen, but I don't know if, you know, this little bit here, the soft goods and that bird all add up to the extra like $5 to $10. I think $10 in total for this, and I don't know, that may just, to me, that doesn't quite feel like $5 worth. I think like the Stormtrooper with the E-Web, that definitely feels like a worthy deluxe pack. This kind of doesn't. I still think it's great, and I definitely prefer getting this version to just the standard single card release. But yeah, I guess you're just going to have to kind of decide that for yourself because I really don't know. I think like with all action figure lines that are going up in prices these days, it's going to be a case-by-case basis. You're just going to have to decide which characters and which figures you really have to have and which ones you can pass on, because anymore it's just really tough to pick up everything that gets released. It's going to have to be a little bit more picky and choosy than I would like it to be, but with the price increases, that's kind of the way that I'm going to be going with it. But anyways, that is where I'm wrapping up this review. So let me know down in the comments, do you think this is worth it? Did you pick one up? Are you going to try and pick one up? What are your thoughts overall on the new price increases and how has that affected your collection? I would love to know your comments down below, but as always, if you want to keep up with the channel in between uploads, you can do so over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. All those links are down in the description in the link tree. Also, you can check out Entertainment Earth. That's an affiliate link, so if you order through that link, it helps out the channel just a little bit. And there's really nothing else to say, so have a wonderful evening, noon, or night, depending on when you're watching this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will catch you all in the next video.